Here we go with reaction to that, the killing of Baghdadi, a senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. You were one of the people on the Republican side that were critical of the president. And I had a little bit different take. And I know where you stand on the military, and I know why you want to keep a certain number of troops there so ISIS can't build back up. But he's the one that took the handcuffs off of our military, got rid of the rules of engagement, and beat the caliphate. Now took out Baghdadi.
Right.
And I'm pretty confident. And by the way, the Kurds, my understanding is they now control the oil fields, which means they will control their destiny with more money than they ever dreamed of. Am I right?
Yeah, you're totally right. So President Trump allowed the military to destroy the physical caliphate. We just killed the spiritual leader of the ISIS movement. That's like, Hitler without, Nazis without Hitler. So this is a big deal. Now, if we keep the oil out of the hands of ISIS, in the hands of our allies, away from Iran, then that's a damn good strategy. So I'm right behind the president. I like the idea of guarding the oil, defeating ISIS by denying him the oil, continue to partner with the Kurds. And Mr. President, keep your foot on the throat of these ISIS fighters. Make sure they don't come here. But what the president did, he deserves great credit for. It was a bold move. The caliphate is dead, and the leader of the caliphate's dead. So this is a good day for the home team.
I believe whatever procedural vote the Democrats in the House are going to do is because of your resolution. You called them out. You basically said, excuse me, if you're going to do a secret Soviet-style impeachment coup attempt behind closed doors, led by a corrupt, coward, compromised Schiff, it's dead on arrival in the Senate. Let's say they try to legitimize it at this point. Now, the last person that ever wants a so-called whistleblower to testify would be the coward Schiff, because if he does that, that would mean that they might ask questions about what was the contact with you in your office, what's the relationship with you and Joe Biden. Will the Senate demand answers to those questions, sir?
Absolutely. Number one, impeachment based on the phone call between President Trump and the Ukrainian president is dead on arrival in the Senate. He did nothing wrong. I've seen no evidence of misconduct by the president at all. This whole thing is a sham. So here's what I'm going to say. They vote Thursday. Well, what kind of process do they give the president? Will he be able to defend himself? And why did you pick the Intel committee versus the Judiciary Committee? And if you're going to start this process in the Intel Committee, it's incumbent upon every American to know who the whistleblower is, because without the whistleblower, there would be no inquiry. So I hope Richard Burr and our Senate colleagues will allow the president to know who his accuser is, the whistleblower, and find out if they have any bias.
Okay, next step. So we're expecting the IG report, finally, on FISA abuse. Grassley Graham memo was very clear, has your name on it, that the bulk of the information, those FISA applications, were the unverifiable dirty dossier that Hillary Clinton paid for, and that we know the likes of Comey and others. I am told they were warned as many as 5 times, don't trust that dossier. But they used it anyway. Now we know, because Steele won't even verify his own dossier. He said, I have no idea if any of it's true when push came to shove in an interrogatory. My question is, the only conclusion that the IG can come up with is premeditated fraud on a court, which ended up being a backdoor to spy on a campaign, a transition team, and a president. Do you believe that happened?
Yeah, I do. Oh, I know for sure they were told that Steele was unreliable. I know for sure they never informed the court of his bias. I believe deep down in my heart the counterintelligence investigation against Trump campaign was a sham, that Papadopoulos, I've spent more time with Trump having a photo made than Papadopoulos did, but Durham's on the case. This is the biggest change to me, is the fact now that Durham has subpoena power and he's actually looking at criminality. So Horowitz will tell us about what happened. I will let you hear about it in my committee under oath for all the world to see, and Durham is doing his job. So the day of reckoning is upon us. And just back to Nancy Pelosi, there's no way in hell she'd be having this vote in the House unless 50 Republican senators called her out for basically engaging in a sham process.
Senator, I've read the transcript. President, we now know, and Matt Gaetz was right, we had a court in Ukraine admit and find that they were involved in election interference. I thought that was important. To me, the president demanding answers is faithfully executing his oath of the Constitution. And what Biden is bragging about on tape, and his son with no experience in Ukraine, energy, oil, or gas, why on earth would you give millions of dollars to somebody that had no experience, Senator? Could you help me with that? So
the Democrat, basically, in this case, Biden's son got money from Ukrainian entities to buy influence. President of the United States, Donald Trump, made a phone call that I find beyond acceptable. There's nothing wrong with this phone call. To the House Democrats, if you're planning to impeach President Trump based on this phone call, you're wasting your time. You're tearing the country apart for no good reason, because he did nothing wrong.
Well, I agree, and I think they'll let him impeach him. Senate won't convict him, and I believe the American people will see this has been 3 years, do nothing for the American people, and I think in the end helps the president get reelected. Senator, thank you for all you're doing.